The past is a source of knowledge, and the future is a source of hope. Love of the past implies faith in the future. Stephen Ambrose. 5 miles west of Hanover, Illinois, live the Edgerton family, whose 18-year-old daughter, Amy Edgerton, is a senior at River Ridge High School. The present-day home of the Edgerton family may seem like an ordinary house, but about 150 years ago, it was a one-room schoolhouse. Our story begins with a man who wanted to turn his community into a better place to live. Born in that part of Norwich, Connecticut called Franklin, Asher Edgerton was the 8th child of Elijah and Eunice Edgerton, who had a total of 10 children. Asher was born on either the 8th or 10th of June 1791 or 1792. Little is known about Asher's life from his birth to 1812, but in that year, Asher Edgerton married a girl from his hometown, Chloe Flint. After they were wed, Asher and Chloe Flint Edgerton became farmers in the Coventry area. They had 7 children before they decided to move to Illinois. The family journeyed to unsettled land 5 miles west of what is now Hanover, Illinois and Joe Daviess County, to make their home. They chose a place that was much like Connecticut. The land had springs, creeks, a pond, hills, and flat land. They built a log house and the necessary farm buildings. They did everything that the early pioneers had to do, like clear land for crops, gardens, and also help build roads. The land became available for purchase from the government in 1841, allowing the Edgerton family to buy 320 acres at $1.25 an acre. A meeting was held at the Edgerton home on January 8, 1848, to discuss building a school.
Well, anyway, the Edgerton school came off of the Edgerton farm that was purchased from the government. In 1841 the farm was purchased. In 1846 they gave an acre for school purposes. So there has been Edgertons going to school ever since. Since then, there was even some Edgerton teachers, and Amy grew up in the Edgerton school, but it was a house at that point in time.
After plans were finalized, Asher Edgerton donated an acre of land to build the schoolhouse. Funding for the school was collected by subscription and was built as soon as possible. The first building was built in 1848 and was 16 by 20 feet with 9-foot posts and painted red. The first teachers were Mary Jill and John Murray. Jill taught in the spring and fall terms. Due to space issues, in 1864, a new building was built using township tax money. The new building was 24 feet by 32 feet. In the hall across the front end, children would hang their coats. Shelves at the end of the hall were for lunch pails. Boys were on the east end, while girls were on the west end. A door at each end of the hall opened into the big classroom. There was a heating stove between the hall doors. The stove would often get filled with soot and catch fire. It was the teacher's responsibility to ensure it was clean.
So, and you had to go early and get the fire started because there wasn't any janitor. You were the janitor. And the furnace smoked.
Outside, there were 2 toilets, and drinking water was carried from the Edgerton's farm. It is not known what happened to the old red schoolhouse, but it is probable that it became a shed. However, as all things must come to an end, so did the Edgerton schoolhouse. Shirley Vandervate was the last teacher, teaching from 1947 to 1951.
They were looking for a teacher, and one of the directors was an uncle of Bob's, and he had kept saying, well, you could come over and teach there. He said, we need a teacher. So then I decided, well, I would try it. I didn't have any other job or anything. So I did, and well, I enjoyed it. I don't know how the kids did, but I did. I really didn't know it was going to close when we had the last of the school year, because I would have loved to have that school bell, the hand bell, you know.
Okay. I don't know whatever happened to that.
And I don't know where it went or anything, but I would have asked about that if I'd have known. But when the school year ended, I just thought they would be going back, you know, in the fall. Whether it was because of the few kids or I don't know, they were just closing all the country schools at that time and starting to bus them into town. Whether it was just supposed to be progress, I suppose.
Due to funding, the reducing number of students, and the lack of support, the Edgerton School closed at the end of the school year in 1951. The building was bought at a public auction in August 1953 by Joseph Thomas for $875. The next owner was John Foster. Finally, in 1972, the building and surrounding farmland was bought by Don Edgerton, a descendant of Asher Edgerton, and his wife, Colleen Eddy Edgerton.
After they quit using, or that the district was dissolved and consolidated with Hanover, we thought the school building should go back to the Edgerton family, but that was not the case. It was school property. So it was up for auction, and it was purchased by Joe Thompson. And then he had a gentleman remodel it and lived in it for a couple years and remodeled it, and then it was sold to John Foster. And his oldest daughter was the same age as I was. So we rode the bus together and stuff, and then when John decided that he had to move to town, we bought it from him, and then we moved over in it, and we're living in it at the present time.
So far, 6 generations of Edgertons have lived on the farm in the past 150 years. The youngest, Amy Edgerton, still resides there. The Edgerton schoolhouse allowed the surrounding community to grow and develop with the help of community members like Asher Edgerton. The descendants of Asher Edgerton can be proud to say that they came from such an extraordinary man. Hopefully, the continued ownership of the Edgerton School and farmland will allow for another 150 years of family memories.